Hello everybody, welcome to Sane Game Studios. I'm Sane, I'm an amateur game developer. Today I'm going to be going over 11 tips for beginner game developers. What it is that you should do and you should know going into game developing that will actually help you grow quicker and better as a game developer. And honestly, that's all I really have to say for an intro. So with that, let's just get into number one. Number one is just be humble with what you start making. Don't try to make your first game be like the next Grand Theft Auto or the next Final Fantasy or even something like more 2D, right? Don't try to make your first game be Hollow Knight or Cuphead. Start with something small, start with something simple, and just learn how to make a game start to finish. That's the big thing. It's just learning how to start a project and complete a project. And when you first get into game development, you're not going to have a whole lot of skills underneath your belt to be able to make something big and awesome like you wish that you could. But it's okay because you will get there eventually. And the way that you get there is by starting small. Make a basic platformer like old school Mario clone, or make like a run and gunner where you just have like enemies run at you and you just run around and shoot them, like a roguelite kind of idea. Just something small, something simple, something manageable that you can not only build, but you will learn something as you build it. And then with that, I'm going to get on to number two. So number two is research your game engines. Every game engine offers different type of pricing models, different type of software, different type of user interface, and different type of capabilities. And it's really important to take the time to look into not only the type of game that you want to be making, but also the best game engine to go ahead and start making that game. I actually made a small video on a quick introduction to a handful of game engines. I will link that in the description down below if you want to give that a watch and have a look at a couple different game engines. I only tapped into a couple. There's a lot out there. Like if you're going to start making like 2D games, you'd be probably better off going with something like gamemaker or Godot. But if you want to jump right into 3D, you'd probably be looking more at, again, Godot, but like maybe Unity or like even Unreal. And these are all engines that are free to download and free to use. But if you're scared of coding and you just want to get into just trying to make some things interact with each other on the screen, GDevelop would be a good option for you, right? There's all these different options for different type of engines and the different type of games that these engines are built to make. So figure out what it is that you want to make and figure out the best engine that you want to make it, the best engine for making it in, and then learn that engine. Every single engine has a community behind it and also has tutorials on beginners for how it is that if you come in knowing absolutely nothing, to get you learning, get you figuring it out and get you making games so that you can then increase the scope of the games that you are making and make something bigger, better, and more awesome. And that's actually a pretty good segue into my point number 3, which is get involved in the communities. Every single game engine has its own community. You can find them on Reddit or even like Discord or even like Facebook, like pretty much any social media site. There's going to be some kind of community built around whatever game engine that you are using. And those communities are not only supportive and helpful, but they're also there to answer questions and to help you on your journey to become a game developer. But beyond just the engine specific game developers, there's also just a very wide community of just overall game development. And these are all people that are either learning to make games or have started to make games, and there's even a handful of people in there who are professional game developers that just want to see people enjoy it like as a hobby and succeed in it. So it really is a boon to the learning process and the learning curve to just go and talk to these people and get their perspectives and bounce ideas off of them and just get involved. And then that again is a pretty good segue into point number 4, which is don't be afraid to ask for help, right? Like when you get involved in these communities, a lot of them, I know for sure gamemaker has a help section where you can actually ask in real time people for help. And it's all done on a volunteer basis. You have people online who are just kind of keeping an eye on the help section. They're not even being paid to do so. But if you ask a question and they just happen to know how to do it, then they will help and answer your question and try to guide you through and figure out where you're going wrong and what's happening. And it is not a bad thing to ask for help, right? Like the best way to learn is by being taught. And when you're sitting at your computer alone trying to make a video game by yourself, there's only really one way to be, two ways, I guess, to be taught, and that is tutorials and just asking people online for help. And those people online are there to help you, and don't be afraid to go and ask them for help. Just make sure you follow the community guidelines and you're doing it respectfully. And then number 5 kind of also ties into that, where it's take advice seriously, but like also with a grain of salt. Right, like if you have a game idea and you pitch it out into the world to be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of making. What do you guys think about it? People have a million and one suggestions on things that you should or shouldn't do with that type of game, or what they would like to see in that type of game, right? But a lot of people also just try to shoot it down and really be a detriment and try to find reasons why your game won't be successful even before you started making it, and they don't even know what it's going to be. There's a lot of games that have taken some pretty major risks that have become major successes. Like, look at Undertale is a great example. That game was a risk not only in art style, but also in mechanics and gameplay. Like, look at the battle system of that game. It was massively successful. Whereas if you were to take that game like before it came out and pitch it onto a forum, there would be a handful of people saying like, there's no market for a game like that. And they were wrong. Like, a lot of the advice that I got when I was first getting going was more along the lines of, this is too advanced for someone who has just started. Maybe you should tone it down a bit. And I didn't take that advice, and I started making the games that I wanted to make, and I started drowning in unfinished projects and just being like way over my head on code that I couldn't understand. And now, like, a couple years later, I'm making the type of games that I wish that I was making. And they're taking me a long time, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of learning to be done, but I wish I had taken that advice. So like I said, be open-minded, talk to people in the community, take their advice, but also take it with a grain of salt, because some people just love to troll or be negative, and it's just really not helpful. And then number 6 is push your tutorials. When I'm saying push your tutorials, I mean do more than the tutorial teaches you without looking at another tutorial to do it. Like, if you look at a tutorial for platformer movement, I even released a tutorial like that. You can go ahead and find it on my channel, right? Maybe once you do the tutorial does the code for moving back and forth, and they show you what to do on like the x-axis. Maybe pause it right there and try to figure out if you try to jump without the tutorial teaching you how to jump, or take whatever concept the tutorial was trying to teach you and try to complicate it a little bit or mix it up a little bit. Because one of the things that a lot of beginner developers have happen is they get stuck in what is referred to as tutorial hell, where they are making games but they don't know how to make anything without a tutorial directly teaching them how to make it. And like, if you really want to make games, you need to not only be able to make games without a tutorial, but you need to be able to understand. So if there is something that there is not a tutorial for, you have enough of an understanding of the basic concepts of coding to be able to, at least struggle to figure out how to get it done. Right? So just very simply, don't rely completely on tutorials and try to push yourself beyond the bounds of the tutorial so you could try to grow and learn without relying on the guy on YouTube. And then number 7 is all about artwork. Do not be afraid to make your own or edit other people's art. Creating art is just like coding. You are not going to be good at it at first. It will take time, it will take patience, it will take practice, and it will be a journey in of itself to be able to make your own custom artwork for your game, but it is not something you should shy away from. A lot of people actually prefer games that have lesser quality art, but from the heart art. You know what I mean? You can go ahead and you can grab assets online and you can make a game out of them, but there's even a term for that called asset flipping. And just because you use somebody's assets does not mean that you're asset flipping, but it is a term and it is something that you really should be careful about doing. And a lot of people will recognize commonly used assets, and it is just very beneficial to take the time and learn how to make your own assets, or at the very least, like if you're going to download an asset pack from somebody and you get yourself like a main character, and this is something that I've done like quite a bit, is the main character doesn't have every single animation that you need to have for the idea of a game that you have. So just go ahead and edit it. Just if you're going to edit it, make sure to look at the licensing. I've actually never seen a asset license that says you were not allowed to edit them. But just to be on the safe side, make sure you edit it. And even if a license does not require you to credit the artist, please do anyways as a common courtesy. And then number 8 is to take your time with sound effects and music. Again, this is something you can make on your own, but it is honestly very difficult to do. It is beyond an art form. It is also very technically difficult to get the hardware that you need to replicate sound effects and record them with a good quality. Right? It's not easy to do. If you do go ahead and do that, like, power to you. I applaud you. The point of this, though, is to be careful of your selection and use of sound effects. Sound effects are a great thing, and they really add way more to a game than you tend to realize. Go ahead and play any game with the sound effects turned all the way down and just listen to music, right? And you will see just how different of an experience it is. And then do it the other way around. Turn the music completely down and just do sound effects. Music creates ambiance. It creates a tone. It creates a mood for the game. Right? Like, play any horror game and turn the music all the way down. It's not going to be nearly as scary. And that is because the music has an effect on us. And the sound effects gives the player almost just as much information about the game and what's going on around them as what they see visually. It is very important to not only have good sound effects and good music, but to use them appropriately, but also not overuse them. Then number 9 is don't let coding scare you. I actually wrote it down here on my notepad as don't let for loops or arrays scare you. Because honestly, when I was first getting going, those were the scariest things to me. For loops and arrays are complicated for the beginner, but once you figure them out, they are incredibly useful tools. So go ahead and just take risks and do the scary things in code. If you were scared of for loops, use a menu, build a menu that uses a for loop to cycle the position on the menu and change the way that things are drawn so that the player knows how they are selected. A for loop is a very basic way of doing that, a very common and popular way of doing that, and it's a great introduction into for loops. And then, same thing with arrays. Array is just a variable that holds multiple numbers. You can set a variable to 2 and set another variable to 3, or you can set one array to have 2 and 3 inside of it, and you can call any value on the index of that array. And honestly, they can be a little bit intimidating, but it is a very important component to coding. Same thing with lists and structs and stuff like this, and they're all intimidating, and coding in of itself is intimidating, but don't let it scare you. Take the plunge, give it a try, and the worst thing you're going to do is just break a game and build a new one. And when you're first getting going, you shouldn't really be making a project so big that breaking a game and building a new one is going to be the end of the world. If you're making small, manageable projects while you are learning, if you completely break a game and have no idea how to salvage it, it is honestly not that much of a hit to just delete it. And even if you delete it, it doesn't mean that you didn't learn everything that you learned at the time. So yeah, don't be scared of coding. Don't be scared to break your games. And just dive in and go for it. But also, speaking of breaking games, number 10 is look into source control. Source control is very handy. I use it for all of my projects, and essentially it is updating your project outside of your computer in versions, right? So I use GitHub Desktop personally, but essentially what you can do is you commit your project to the source control, and then that file is saved separate from your project. And that gives you the ability to be completely fearless and do anything you want with your project. And if you do happen to completely break it, you can just rewind the clock and go back to a previous version. It is a very handy tool, and it is honestly almost impossible to implement something risky but awesome without it, because the fear of losing all of your work will stop you from taking a risk and coding something new to build something awesome. So look into source control and create backups of your game outside of your computer so that you can fearlessly work on it. And the worst thing that happens is you just rewind the clock and go back to the previous version of your game where it wasn't broken and you hadn't done any of that. And then you can go ahead and try again. And then number 11, this one's actually a little bit hypocritical for me because I actually avoided it for quite a bit when I was first getting into game development, but that is participate in a game jam. I've actually just signed up for my first game jam. I am very excited for it. If you don't know what a game jam is, that is fine. That is why it's on this list. I am going to explain it to you. A game jam is essentially a competition. Most of them are very friendly competitions, but what they'll do is they will give you a time limit to build the game, and you have to start that game when the timer starts and then finish it before the timer is up, and then release that game and submit it to the game jam, and it will then be judged and voted and put in a, they'll judge it and they'll vote on it, and then they'll produce rankings, and somebody will win the game jam and you will get like positions in it. But the big reason that I am saying to join a game jam is, one, they really push you to try to learn things that you don't know how to do already. And two, it is a great introduction into a community and also gets people in the community to see where you are at with your skill level and also what you are capable of creatively. And then also, it starts a portfolio. One of the biggest things that you want as a game developer, especially if you're somebody who's aspiring to not only do it as a hobby, but eventually make money doing it, is to create a portfolio of games so that people can be like, oh yeah, what are you even capable of making? You can point them at finished games and be like, I made this, 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 and this. Check them out. And then it gives credibility to whatever it is that you are pursuing, whether you are trying to join in on a team to build a commercial game with a group of people, or whether you are applying for an indie studio sometime in the future. You're able to show these people exactly what it is you are capable of and what you have made. And that is honestly one of the biggest reasons why I am participating in a game jam, is to just start a portfolio. And since I did sign up for a game jam, one thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be posting videos of my progress in the game jam. The game jam that I signed up for is the Fireside Game Jam 2025. And as of release of this video, there is actually still one more day to sign up for it. So if you're watching it right away and you want to jump in on a game jam, you go ahead and sign up for that one, and I will see you there. If not, if you're watching it in the future, you don't feel like you're ready yet, first of all, you are ready. Game jams are all about learning. But if you go to itch.io or you pay attention to the communities that you are in, there is lots of game jams being hosted constantly. And some of them are just blanket for all types of games. Some of them are very strict to be like, this has to be like a visual novel, or this has to be an RPG made with like RPG Maker or something. But there is a game jam going on right now that is exactly what it is that you are making. And I can guarantee that. There is so many game jams going on all the time. Some of them have prizes, some of them don't. I saw a game jam that the top 3 people were going to get a publishing deal for an online games website. That's awesome. That's a really cool prize. But that is essentially all that I have. It's just 11 tips for beginner game developers. I hope to see you guys developing games. I hope these tips were helpful to you. And if when you do start making games and you do actually release a game, please, for the love of God, let me know, because I want to play it. I want to play games that people who have watched my videos have made, because that just sounds awesome to me. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you have anything you want to add or anything you want to say or any kind of comment, that's what the comment section down below is for. I hope to see you there. Other than that, please like and subscribe, and I hope you guys tune in to my devlogs for my game jam game. I will be starting that on Friday. Well, that's all that I have, so I hope you guys are having a good one, and peace out.